Okay,
Absolutely. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Welcome everyone to our Monday chamber meeting. Happy March to everyone. I'm filling in for Kelly. Hoping everyone is hoping to get out into the sunshine and enjoy. So let's see if anybody has any announcements to start out with. Or any new guests. Oh, there you are.
Right past me. Yeah, introduction of new members and guests. If anybody who's new to our format wants to say hi, now's the chance. If you want to introduce yourself.
Take you off mute and say hi. Okay, I guess not.
My name is Dr. Stephanie Dittmer.
There we go. Hi, Stephanie.
Hey, Stephanie.
Hi.
Great. Anybody else?
Nope.
Okay. So
this is Jocelyn. Thank you for having us.
Oh, great. Thanks, Kate.
Thanks, Kate. Okay, Renee, you want to start us off with some announcements from Chamber?
Sure. First one is just a reminder that we have sexual harassment prevention training coming up for supervisory and non-supervisory employees on March 23rd and 24th. You can purchase tickets online on our website at fortunachamber.com/training. You don't have to be a chamber member to take this training. You can sign up. Any business can sign up for that, and it is required training for businesses with 5 or more employees. So don't forget to take that training. The Fortuna loyalty card, which we are launching this Friday, March 5th. I'm very excited about. We have a little promo in the newsletter that's coming out this week as well. More information can be found at fortunachamber.com/loyalty card. This is a card that will offer unique discounts and promotions to local businesses in Fortuna, as well as our extended businesses outside of town, chamber member businesses, but any business is eligible to participate. If you are a non-member, there's a small fee to participate. So just another great reason to join the chamber and be included for free. So I'm excited about that. We should have physical cards soon for purchase. So stay tuned for that. Speaking of our newsletter, that should be hitting mailboxes on Wednesday. It's our spring quarterly newsletter. So keep an eye out for that. Inside, we have a little survey, a fun survey to take, and your name could be entered to win a $100 gift certificate to a local business of your choice. And then save the date, April 9th. The Fortuna Chamber is teaming up with the Fortuna Skate Park Collective for a drive-up dinner and raffle fundraiser. We'll have more information in the days to come, but just put a little note on your calendar, April 9th, 4:30 to 7:30 at the River Lodge. And then finally, next Monday, our featured guest will be Liz Slayton from Highline Nursery. They are a cannabis nursery just outside of Fortuna. And also they have a really unique program, Essential 1%, where they give back to the community. So I'm excited to hear more about that. And that's all I have. And Becky, I'll turn it back to you.
Okay, thanks. So now, are there any announcements from any of the members we have on today? Anything going on? I guess we can ask Merritt. Did we forget Merritt? What's going on with the city council tonight, Merritt?
We have a council meeting tonight, and one of the first items will be a presentation by our Parks and Recreation Director Cameron Moll, and he'll be presenting the ideas that we have for grant applications for applying for Prop 68 grant for expansion of Newburgh Park, and then another grant that we're assisting the Roanoke Community Recreation District with, which is a pool project. So those are, it's intended to be Cameron's update to the council, letting them know what we're looking at as far as these future grant applications. There's a number of routine items on the consent calendar. One of them that's noteworthy is the Americans with Disabilities Act transition plan. This is a living document the city has. So from time to time, we kind of memorialize our progress and the work that's needed ahead. So our ADA transition plan is on there, which is something we've been wanting to do a formal update for a while. Our business items that we have at the council meeting tonight are, one is a supplemental budget request to provide matching funds for the purchase of a mini excavator. A 55% grant will be coming from the USDA. So that's something that is desperately needed by our public works crews. There's an amendment of an ordinance, essentially for small wireless communication facilities. There was a little bit of a change in some of the text or inconsistency that we have to bring this back to the council for 2 more readings before it gets published in the municipal code. So that's really just kind of a cleanup item. And then there's another item for an authorizing resolution for a clean water state revolving fund grant for the city's wastewater treatment plant project. So that's a big one. We're hoping to see about $5.5 million towards the construction of the city's project. Again, this is just an initial step, but nothing real concrete for that project now, other than setting us up for that grant. And then a supplemental budget request for a supplementary payment to CalPERS for employee pensions to bring down the long-term cost of employee pensions for an unfunded liability. So pretty big items, but that's what we have for our tonight.
Okay. Any other announcements? Anything coming up in anybody's world that we need to know? Oh, do I see Glenn? Oh, there you are. Hi, do you have an announcement for us?
We're still open.
That's a good thing.
Great thing, yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. You guys are doing great. And I know the kids love being in school, so it's great. So
Thank you.
anyway, can you tell it quickly, really fast, your project on the solar that's going through all the schools, the high school and the 4 elementary? What's happening with that?
Yeah, so we had some solar put in behind the East High. That was an easy one to do because it was a ground mount. We're looking at the next phase of the solar will be in the awnings on over the 12th Street parking lot, but that takes a lot more through DSA and everything like that to create those. So those are a few years out still.
Okay, sounds like a great project. I know the 4 elementary schools are also doing it on their campuses. So, you know, it's the future. So that's awesome that the schools are doing that. So great.
And they had a lot more space to be able to just do the ground mounts, which helps. So
Yes.
whenever you go above, it's a lot more involved.
Very much so. And I know if you drive by in Fortuna Boulevard, Walker Elementary, you could see them out in the front part of their playground in the corner. So they were able to utilize that. So that's awesome. So great. Anything else?
No, thank you. Thanks for asking.
Okay, thank you. All right, well, let's, if we don't have any more announcements from members, let us welcome our featured speaker, State Senator Mike McGuire. So he's going to fill us in on all sorts of great things.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Oh, dandy.
Yeah, living the dream. Becky, so
Living
good
the
to see you. Oh my goodness. First and foremost, I just want to take a moment to each and every one of you for thanking you for allowing me to be with you today. And I'm looking forward to the conversation. Renee, thank you so much for all the coordinating as well. We very much appreciate it. And it is an honor to be with you. Just want to recognize, obviously, the mayor and council member. Madam Mayor, it's good to see you. Council member, good afternoon. And of course, to the city manager and Superintendent Sinistaro, thank you for all of your work as well. What I'd like to be able to do, if it works for each and every one of you, is touch base on a variety of items. We'll just do it lightning speed, if it's okay, and then want to leave as much time as possible just to have questions, conversations, criticisms, concerns, and just go back and forth. And I love seeing Melissa's pooch, who is joining us as well. So very cool. So if it's all right, Becky, we'll just get right into it. Is that okay?
Oh, yep.
All right, let's do it. Look, bottom line is this: California is seeing a marked improvement when it comes to our virus numbers in urban and rural parts of the state. Statewide, we're now near about a 38% decline in hospitalizations, about a 30% decline over the last 14 days when it comes to ICUs usage. And if California was a country, we'd be number 7 in the world when it comes to putting shots into arms. And I just want to be blunt to each and every one of you. We must do better. The way that this vaccine rolled out, whether it's across the nation or here in the state of California, is simply unacceptable. And we know we must do better. And we're starting to see those positive changes happen. You're going to start seeing additional changes here in the state of California in a positive way over the next 4 to 8 weeks. And would like to be able to touch on several issues here today. Because of the change in positivity numbers, as far as those dropping, schools will be reopening across the state. Now, Fortuna is not going to miss a beat, as they have always been open, and want to say thank you to Superintendent Sinistaro, who's on with us, the amazing teachers and classified staff who have been working each and every day to be able to deliver for the needs of Fortuna kids. But would like to talk very briefly on all the issues of reopening the schools. I'd like to talk quickly about the tenant relief plan that has been put into place and the ability to be able to recoup back rent. I'd like to quickly talk about the economic recovery initiative that has now been passed, and then also talking about a focus on hospitality and tourism economy, which has lost about 600,000 workers across the state of California. So long story short, on the breaking news of today, a deal has been reached to be able to reopen schools across California. Again, Fortuna, as you always are ahead of the pack. What we've seen in Fortuna is what most of the state is going to be going back to. So here's how it's going to work. For any county that is in red, there will not be any new testing requirements for school opening. For any school district that has already been open, like Fortuna Union High School District, for example, there won't be any enhanced requirements put onto those districts that have been previously opened. And what the superintendent, the school board, teachers, classified staff has shown is that the infection rate, especially when it comes from staff, is negligible, if any, at best. So that's really critical. Now, state is what we're going to be focusing on across California. 10% set aside when it comes to vaccinations. I believe the superintendent shared with me this past Friday when we were on a call, Eureka and Mr. Hartley from the county, is that Fortuna is actually very close to getting all teachers their second shot. Again, head of the game, head of the pack, which is super impressive. There's going to be funding on the table to be able to assist school districts who have reopened and may need to recoup learning loss. So I'd like to talk about that here quickly. So number one, as you all know, the state of California invested about $6 billion earlier in the year for learning loss, tablets, hotspots, laptop computers, establishing new computer labs, et cetera, across California. Now we're going to put $2.2 billion on the table to help schools who have reopened or will be reopening. The way it's going to work is, for example, Fortuna Union High School District is literally going to get through Prop 98, which is the way we fund schools, dollars per child. Those dollars are fairly flexible and will be able to benefit Fortuna, any school district that's open, or any district that opens by April 1st. Districts that don't open by April 15th through May will lose on a daily basis dollars each day. So once they open, they're eligible for the dollars. If they don't open, they won't be eligible for the dollars. Those districts that are already open will see full freight of funding. There's a second pot of money that's going to be invested, and that's going to be about 4.6 billion. Those dollars are going to flow directly to the districts, and they're very flexible. And what we know is there's significant learning loss for districts that may not have gone back as early as Fortuna. So these dollars are going to be flexible and up to the school board, the superintendent, and the administration on how they want to spend. So for example, portion of the 4.6 billion can go for extending the school year. 2, extending summer school. 3, one-on-one tutoring. 4, social emotional support, counseling, enhanced counseling for school kids. Because what we know too, right? Depression is significant. So it's going to be very flexible for districts. Now, districts will still have the option to do hybrid, right? So giving parents the choice of sending their students back in person or also continuing to provide the option for distance learning. The anticipation is by fall, everyone's back. No exceptions. So that's where the money is going to be focused on learning loss, helping support our students, helping support our students' emotional well-being as well, and really trying to provide districts with the finances to do one-on-one tutoring as well. So that it literally has just come out today, and be happy to be able to do a deeper dive here as we get into a conversation. If it's all right with folks, I'd like to talk about the economic recovery efforts that's happening. So there's about almost $11 billion that's now been put on the table. It's just unprecedented. This is more than what we've seen in generations in this state. And let me just share with you, California is in this really awkward spot. It's quite perverse. Those who are struggling and struggled prior to this pandemic hitting are struggling even more today. Those who had financial resources, wealthy, for example, are wealthier than they ever have been, not just in California, but throughout the nation. In fact, this pandemic has grown what was already a significant economic divide between those who have resources and those who do not. So I'd like to first focus on the Tenant Relief Act, as well as compensating for back rent. Then I'd like to talk about our small business recovery plan. So first and foremost, at the end of January, we knew that 4 million Californians were facing an eviction, and many of them would be facing homelessness. So a deal has been struck that will put $2.6 billion on the table to be able to pay up to 80% of back rent from the start of the recession, essentially the start of the pandemic. In return for a landlord accepting those dollars, up to 80% back rent being paid, they would need to allow the tenant to continue to live in the unit, in the home, through June 30th and not face eviction. But all back rent, up to 80% owed, would be paid back to the landlord, whether it's an individual that owns a duplex, a single family home, or 10,000 units, it will be on the table. Now, the only catch is individual has to be making a maximum of 80% of area median income. So the vast majority of that 4 million are making about 80% of the area median income for a county. That's moved. Dollars, checks will start moving here in the coming weeks, and the 2.6 billion is in the bank. Again, it keeps tenants in their home, 4 million, and it pays back the back due rent up to 80%. Our calculations, we do not believe, the state does not believe that we're going to have $2.6 billion worth of back rent. In fact, we believe it's going to be anywhere between 800 million and 1.5 billion. So we actually don't think we're going to see 2.6 billion of back rent. Reason being is the generous unemployment benefits that were provided earlier by the federal government was a shot in the arm for many low income Californians, in addition to the stimulus checks as well. So now I'd like to be able to fast forward and talk about small business relief, which is absolutely critical, and then what we're doing for the most vulnerable in this state. So first and foremost, I'd like to talk about small business grants. So the state of California has already advanced 500 million in small business grant relief. You can apply for up to $25,000. You don't have to pay it back. That program is way oversubscribed. So we're going to pump an additional $2.1 billion into the small business relief grant program. Long story short, if you've already applied, you don't have to apply again. If you received a notice, so for example, a lot of folks in Humboldt, a lot of folks in Mendocino, Delano, Sonoma received a notice saying that, I'm paraphrasing here, there aren't enough funds. Stick with it. The money is going to be deposited, and those dollars are going to be spent and allocated to those small businesses. If you have not applied, what is going to happen is Johnson, who is on the line with me, is going to send Renee the website, and please apply. I would not be surprised that if we use all 2.1 billion, that we'll see additional dollars allocated to assist small businesses. 90% of businesses in the state of California are 50 employees or less. So this goes right to the heart of our economy. The other area I'd like to focus on is the Golden State stimulus. This is going to be focused on folks earning less than $30,000 a year, those who are on like SSI, who are elderly, blind, disabled. They're going to receive a one-time $600 stimulus check. There's about 5.7 million Californians that will receive a one-time $600 stimulus check from the state. Again, to be able to put food on the table, pay their car payment, right? Help pay rent, etc. If an individual is on the earned income tax credit for the state of California, they're automatically going to receive it. If they're on SSI, you're automatically going to have to receive it. You don't have to apply for this. Automatically, they'll receive $600 stimulus check. That's from the state of California. I'm going to fast forward now to talk about small business tax cuts. So in the city of Eureka, for example, just in the city of Eureka, about 65 million in PPP loans went out. So it's a couple hundred million, if not more, in all of Humboldt County. If you received a PPP grant, which is now most of it turned into a grant from the feds, most of that can be written off on your federal taxes, full tax conformity. The state is going to be doing partial tax conformity, up to $150,000. So I'm going to give you a scenario in which will work. So let's just say a business in Fortuna received a $200,000 PPP loan, and you use $150,000 of that for paying your employees, for paying your utilities, and your rent. Whatever you pay for taxes on those three items, you will be able to write off this year's taxes up to $150,000. So if you received a $200,000 loan, you use $150,000 of that for those three items, your taxes will probably be about $50,000. You'll be able to write that off this year's 2020 tax returns. So the way it's going to work, it's simple. And I know it's hard to believe that it's actually simple from the state. So you're not going to have to apply to any damn place. We're literally going to, the Franchise Tax Board will put a tax amendment form on their website in the next 90 to 120 days. You have to fill it out, then you're going to have to file it, but you're going to have to amend your taxes. But again, it's significant. 750,000 businesses across the state have received the PPP. So it's going to be significant dollar injection for business owners across California. The other piece I'd like to focus on are fee waivers. If you own a barber shop, a hair salon, a nail salon, a bar, a restaurant, you do not have to pay your state license fees for the next 2 years. So 659,000 businesses won't have to be able to pay to the Board of Cosmetology or to their liquor license and the alcohol beverage control. It's going to be absorbed by the state. That will be automatic. You don't have to apply for the next 2 years. Your fees will be waived. The other area that we're really focused is to be able to get our economy moving again. We got to get schools open, and we have to get childcare facilities reopened as well. 2/3 of minimum wage earners in California are women. The lowest wage earners in California, the majority are women. So having to choose between taking care of their child or going back to work, many will choose to take care of their child, rightfully so. So what we're doing is we're putting dollars on the table to incentivize school districts to reopen. And the other piece is there's going to be an automatic $525 per child voucher that will go into state subsidized childcare facilities. Most of them are nonprofits. So there are 400,000 kids in state subsidized childcare facilities. several thousand between Del Norte, Humboldt, Trinity, Mendocino, Lake, and Sonoma counties. So they're going to get an automatic $525 per child one-time voucher to help get them open and cover any expenses. We're going to put $30 million into food banks to help with both food purchasing. And there's going to be about $24 million put in for farm workers who've been impacted by COVID. And then finally, we're going to reinvest. We are going to cut $300 million from the UC system, $300 million from the CSU system. We're going to restore those cuts, which will greatly benefit Humboldt State. Humboldt State has already been challenged financially, right, because of declining enrollment, and they were going to have to eat their portion of this $300 million in cuts. We know that our CSUs are innovation hubs for business, so that is now going to be restored, $300 million in cuts. The last piece, so that's really our focus on where we're moving. Also, if you were on CalWorks, essentially if you were on the state welfare system and you're unemployed, you will no longer have to pay taxes on that unemployment. Again, putting money back into some of the most vulnerable. The last piece I'll say on economic recovery, where we still need to do work, is on the hospitality industry. I'll be candid, Humboldt County and Del Norte County in particular will see record years. 2020 was a record year for bed tax when it came to our lodging. We won't go there, and I'm not saying that out loud. So, but it really was a record year. And what we know across the state, out of 1.2 million hospitality workers in California, 600,000 of them remain on unemployment. A third of all of those who are unemployed today, Monday, are from the hospitality industry. So we have to get them back open. What we know is $145 billion in visitor spending was advanced in 2019. That turned into about $12.3 billion in local and state taxes. And by the way, we've had 10 years of consecutive growth when it comes to our hospitality economy. And the economic fallout from the pandemic is 10 times worse than it was after the 9/11 attacks, which is the next the next most challenging time in our history when it comes to hospitality. So here's what we're focusing on. We've lost about 85 billion in visitor spending in 2020. We lost about 6.6 billion in local and state taxes. So we know this industry is reeling. So where you're going to see us is we want to invest 45 million one time to get Californians traveling again, when it's safe to do so, per the California Department of Public Health. This program is modeled after what the state did after the 2001 terrorist attacks. We put in 8.3 million to be able to market California in-state travel, Western state travel in. That 8.3 million turned into 3.2 billion in visitor spending. It turned into 10.6 million in tax revenue. And our travel into the state jumped by 10%. We're one of only 3 states after 9/11 that saw an increase in tourism traffic. So I say all that is, we know this method and this model works. We need to be able to do this again. And I will just say, after 9/11, there were 3 regions that truly benefited from this. LA, number 1, San Diego, number 2, North Coast. When people are nervous to fly, they drive. When they drive, they come to us. We all live where it is among the most beautiful in the world, and we firmly believe that the North Coast is going to benefit from this program as we did in 2001. Finally, and I'm sorry, Becky's about to throw her damn shoe at the screen. So I just want to talk about CRV. I know it's a really significant issue in Humboldt, in Del Norte County, in Trinity County. I think we got a solution. So we're fighting to be able to get 10 million in the budget. I'm hoping that we're going to be able to secure that 10 million in April. That 10 million will go pay for additional 5 pilot projects. We believe that Humboldt is firmly set up to be able to turn in an application for a pilot project from the Waste Management JPA. Humboldt has wants to focus on appointments. Candidly, that just doing appointment only won't work. It doesn't meet the convenience zone definition. So what we'd like to be able to work with Humboldt is we do appointments, plus we do what Oregon has done. Oregon has put in, if you will, these large vending machines. You bring your bottles, your cans to these machines. You drop them in the machine. It spits out a receipt. You go turn in your receipt. You don't have to go into the store, and store owners either have to pay $100 a day in fines or have to redeem that. It just has folks walking in with a receipt. It's incredibly convenient. We want to pilot that in Humboldt County. It's been incredibly beneficial in Oregon. We've talked to Oregon officials who are blue in the face about it. It would mean that coming together with some grocery stores and convenience stores to be able to do that. We believe that there are some stores, Fortuna, Eureka. We'd love to partner with Del Norte County on this to be able to launch this pilot project. But we have to get this 10 million secured, and we're working hard to be able to do so. Mayor Long sent us a letter. Mayor Seaman and Eureka sent us a letter on this issue, and we really are grateful for their advocacy. And that is something that we want to be able to move in April. The last thing I'll say is last chance grade that connects obviously Humboldt and Del Norte County. I was about to swear and I won't. But long story short, 50 million has been secured to be able to finish the environmental engineering on that dam project to get it inland and off the dam coast. And we have it fully funded to be able to do the big fix where the hill's sliding down, $12 million. But it's fully funded and committed to get it fixed. The Sunbergs are out there now. They got the emergency contract. We flew in a spider excavator here last week that's going up there, knocking down. There's a large outcropping that we got to get down. That's a really significant issue that we've been involved with. Becky, I've talked so damn much and I apologize, and we'll turn it over to each and every one of you. And again, I just want to say thank you for allowing me this opportunity to work with you. And I'm honored to be able to work with Fortuna in particular each and every day.
Well, that's a lot of information, and you're always welcome to come to our meetings and come to Humboldt and Fortuna, and lots of great information, that especially the last one with the CRV. That sounds very interesting with the pilot program. So I'm going to open it up for any questions for any of the information Mike brought up. And if you can maybe raise your hand so I can see, so we're, so everybody can hear your question, and it might be a little easier that way. So is there any questions on any of the information? Renee, do you want to start with something?
No, I saw Danny Kelly's hand go up, so I'll defer to him. He can start.
Danny, you got the floor.
Hey, Senator McGuire, thank you for all the work you do for us every day up here.
Nice to see you.
Appreciate it. Nice to see you. I'm curious if you're familiar with AB 1115 on community college baccalaureate programs. I think that Assemblymember Choi is going to be putting that forward, and Humboldt and CR would be awesome for that. A great relationship between Dr. Flamer and Dr. Jackson. HSU is pivoting to become this polytechnic. We'd love your support on exploring that. Maybe CR could be the rural pilot project. We're thinking if we make it a rural pilot project, it'll be less threatening to the CSU. We stay in our own lane. We get a custom baccalaureate program that doesn't compete with any of the CSU offerings. We could maybe be competitive. We're really trying to reboot CR and make programs that will draw people here for in-person instruction that are unique, right? Like back in the day with HSU with the environmental stuff. And so that's our hope for kind of rebooting rural with new students in. So love your support on that.
No, thank you. And I know a bit about it in regards to the allowing community college and the bachelor's degrees. I will get back to you, Mr. Chair, on that. You have my commitment, and it's AB 1115, right? 1115. That's great. Thank you so much. I will follow up, and I got to tell you, CR is doing flipping great work, and we have been so honored to be able to work with President Flamer on obviously expanding the Bachelor's of Science program, nursing program.
Oh yeah, thank you for all of that. Yeah.
Well, no, I was just saying, and then finally getting the LV and RN program through CR up and running at the Crescent City campus.
Yep.
So we get that pipeline moving into the HSU system so that we have this continuous pipeline for folks who want to go for the BSN. And I got to say, CR has been amazing to work with, and just want to say thank them for all their incredible work and innovation.
That's great. Melissa, did you have a question?
do, but it's not about anything you talked about. It's about a
all good.
bill.
Hey, Melissa.
Okay.
Okay.
I was wondering how you feel about AB 5 and if you feel that newspaper carriers should be exempt from having to be employers, or if they can still remain independent contractors, especially since we are in a rural area and we have a really hard time distributing our paper. Thank you.
No, thank you, Melissa. So look, bottom line is have been one of the leading authors each year over the last 2 years. In fact, we work with Chuck Champion, who is the CEO of the California News Publishers Association each and every year on the advancement of the bill that continues to carve out those who are independent contractors and newspaper carriers. So their last 2 years, there have been bills that have kept them independent contractors, whether it's the North Coast Journal, the Times Standard, you name it, right? It helps all local news groups or some of these larger news groups. I'm 110% in support of it. In fact, I got a call on it with Mr. Champion this week. So, and Chuck Champion has been wonderful. He worked with Jim Ewert, who was their counsel on this for the last 2 years. He's now retired, but you can count on me continuing to support that here. Look, we always start the bill at 5 years, right? And it's always narrowed down to a year, which is why I'm sure it is so frustrating, Melissa, to you and your team that we're doing this year to year. It is really frustrating to me, but I promise you, you're going to see another bill that will extend it out. I'm hoping for 5 years, but I never want to BS you. It's probably going to end up being another year just because it's amended down. Melissa, I'll give you the final say on that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
No, you're the jam, and thanks for all your work.
Any other concerns or questions for Mr. McGuire?
Okay, we got Merritt first, then Denise Marshall.
Okay, go Merritt.
Thanks. Thank you, Senator McGuire, for your work for the solid waste, particularly the CRV. Just one question about that. We've heard from the city of Fortuna is not a part of the JPA for Humboldt Waste Management Authority. So I am a little bit concerned about our ability to participate in a pilot project. And although those pilot projects would be great long-term, what we're really in need of is short-term CRV. And both the Humboldt Waste Management Authority Recycling Center and the one owned by Recology in Fortuna, they've said they'd open up if we have an appointment model and they can increase the limits. And what we're seeing here is people just, hoarding their recyclables, and it's making a pretty bad mess in our community. So I thought I heard you say appointments wouldn't work. And, I'm just wondering, or maybe you said they would work, but I'm curious if we will be able to get some short-term changes in to allow appointments and to increase the amount that people bring in. That'll get us an immediate reopening of our recycling center here in Fortuna.
No, thank you, Mr. City Manager. Look, so what I said is appointment only would not work as far as a funding for a pilot project. So we would need to do, and I'm making this up, by the way, I'm spitballing with you, Mr. Perry, appointments plus advancing the pilot project with these, I'll call them vending machines, right? So we would need to do both, but not just appointments, which again, I really think that we can get there. So this actually has been discussed in this pilot project of including Recology and Humboldt Waste Management, which then I think would cover Fortuna. It's not confirmed, but look, we don't want to leave a gap. And candidly, you have some grocery stores that would be interested in potentially participating. At least that's what we've heard. And so we'd love to be able to work with you. And we'd like to be able to include this as a 2-county pilot project. I believe that our application will be stronger if we can team up with Del Norte. And Del Norte has some of the same challenges that we're facing right now. So bottom line, Mr. Perry, I think appointments would be part of it. It just can't be the only solution. And I think we can bring some other alternatives that could get funded. We just got to get this damn $10 million into the bank. And that's what we're hoping to do through our budget subcommittee.
Thank you.
Did that answer your question, sir?
Yeah, yes, it did. Thank you.
We just need to work with Recology, and conversations have started. My understanding, and Ms. Johnson, who I work with, Ms. Johnson, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I believe those conversations have taken place, at least initially. Mai?
Yeah, Recology has been involved from the very beginning. We've been having these conversations about pilot projects for a while, and Recology has been at the table, and also Humboldt Sanitation in McKinleyville as well.
Great. Okay, Denise, what's your question?
Hey, Denise.
A couple. Hello, Mike. Good to see you. On the CRV, you answered some of my questions because I was just recently out in Willow Creek area on a Forest Service road, and there were 15 extra large plastic bags full of aluminum cans. And I was able to talk to the recycle place in Willow Creek to go out and get them, but very hesitant to even talk to me, you know, because they're only talking to business people. So I just wonder, with all the bags out there that people are storing up, are they gonna get tired of it like this entity did and start dumping it? So anyway, I'm super excited about moving forward with that. My questions was, one, what kind of time frame do you have on last chance grade? Starting, moving forward, finishing. And then I had a question about the back rent. So you mentioned 80% of them having their median income. So they're working. So what about folks that lost their job?
So they would, 80% is the ceiling, but anything below that would also qualify. So,
okay.
Yeah, so they, and in fact, the way we've rolled it out is those who are struggling the most would be first to receive the checks through their landlord. So for example, anyone that's at 50% or less of area median income would be the first to receive these checks.
Okay, so what about undocumented folks?
Would also qualify.
Okay, so are landlords being notified? Because sometimes, you know, conversation, communication with undocumented folks can be tricky. I mean, how does...
Yeah, so we've been working with, so the largest group we've been working with across the state is the California Apartment Association, who represents more landlords than anyone else as far as a trade association. They know that. I don't know about specific regional associations, but we'd be happy to be able to work with you if they
contacted your representative.
Yeah, exactly. So Denise, Maya's going to put her contact information in the chat now. We'd be more than willing to be able to get you some collateral on this, to be able to get some information out, if that would be helpful.
That'd be very helpful. Thank you.
And then on last chance grade, look, I'm just going to be blunt. I don't know why the state look, I've been honored to be able to be in this position for the last little over 6 years. And on year one, started working on last chance grade. Why the hell it hasn't been happening before, I can't tell you. But over this last 6 years, we've secured $50 million. The $50 million is moving to be able to get the environmental review done, which we have to do. It's all the geotechnical, it's all fully funded. That's moving. So what I am hoping in the next 2 to 3 years that we are going to have a preferred project. While the geotechnical and the environmental is moving, that's why we're doing this, to narrow down the projects that would be the preferred alternative for the inland route. Finally, what I'll say is, as far as the current slide, the money's in the bank. We got the money in the bank. Caltrans is fully funded. They have a contractor out there. The Sundberg family got the contract for the emergency work. I forget the name of Garth's and his brother's firm, but long story short, they're out working. Randy. Anyway, they're out working. Yes. Thank you. Out working on the slide right now, and they're making significant progress. We had so much come down, though. This is what we saw like on Horseshoe Hill. They literally are driving, folks are literally driving over all of the rock and dirt that's fallen on the road right now. So, but we're making progress. It's good news. As far as the completion on that fix, I do not think we're going to be fully fixed until summer.
Wow. Yeah, we have more rain coming, so who knows? So yes. That's true. So the next speaker that I'm going to call on is Dr. Eslin. But as you well know, Mike, we have some real issues with Redwood Memorial, and yes. I know you've been in conversation with Dr. Luskin-Hawk and the mayor. So let's hear from Kate.
Hello, thank you. So Senator McGuire, I just wanted to make sure that you're aware of the official announcement yes. That OB will be closing at Redwood Memorial in a few months. And I have a lot of concern both for the safety of mothers and babies in Fortuna and South. I think that there are times when this will lead to patient harm. We've had a number of emergency cases, even in just the first part of this year, where delayed care would have resulted in patient harm and possibly death. So I have a lot of concern about that. I also have concern about losing the service when it comes to recruiting more family medicine physicians. There's a number of us who like to practice in rural areas because we like to do full spectrum work, including delivering babies, but also the rest of primary care. And if we don't have that to offer, then it gets a lot harder to recruit primary care physicians to this area. Big city places can typically pay more money. And so if we don't have the full spectrum practice to offer people, then we're left with, only people who have local connections like me, or find a particular affinity for this area. But this is going to severely impact recruitment, as well as harming patients. And I have a lot of concern about what this means for the health of our community.
No, I hear that. And Leanne also put in to the chat that the closing of Redwood Memorial OB means no OB between Willits and Eureka, which is a massive gap in some of the most rural areas on the North Coast, right? Let's just be honest about that. If you don't mind, can you give me an update on your conversations with Ms. Flestenhawk and others at, I'll just call it the mothership in Eureka?
I believe Dr. Leskenhawk made the decision to close OB some time ago, and I don't know that I haven't really heard that she's taking our input into account about this. I think this was just a decision that she made.
Got it.
I think it's being made for financial reasons. And although I understand that, it's pretty standard for OB to not make money. I certainly lose money doing OB, but that's not why I do it. I do it because it's good for the community, and it brings me joy in my practice to help bring new babies into the world. But it's pretty standard for obstetrics to lose money. The usual medical model is that you make it up with gynecologic surgeries if you're an OB-GYN. And hospitals always support the rest of their service lines with surgery, which is better paid because of the perverse way that our healthcare system is financed. But that's just kind of the norm. And so I don't feel that we should be closing this unit for financial reasons. I think it's more important to put patient care first.
No, thank you for that. And I will definitely be following up with representatives in Eureka. So you have my commitment on that.
Senator McGuire, if this closes here, even if we wanted to do a birthing center in Fortuna, we wouldn't be able to because the distance is too far to qualify to be a birthing center, because we're going to be too far away, according to distance travel, time travel, to be able to do that. Right now, with all the traffic lights that keep going into Eureka because of the wonderful fast food restaurants, the delay time now is about 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
So.
And it's kind of remarkable that it's okay for a patient to have to drive that much further, but not okay, to transfer a patient from a birthing center. And it's too far for me to drive from my home in Hydesville to be on call for St. Joe's, yet somehow it's acceptable for a patient to have to drive that far while they're in labor or having an obstetrical emergency. It's just not logical. Dr. Dittmer is here as well.
Thank you, Senator McGuire. I'm sorry, my Zoom link didn't hold up to the connection. But I did want to speak as somebody who has been in the community for 10 years now and has been through a couple of fights regarding maintaining obstetric services at Redwood. And I have, just like Dr. Estlin, concern about the safety of moms and babies, since I am one of the surgically trained family medicine physicians who gets called on a regular basis to do emergency C-sections to save moms and babies. And I think that the underlying decision-making has already been made at the time of the Attorney General requirement to maintain the service line open. And I believe that the service line has been allowed to wither on the vine, and the data that's being presented is specifically skewed in a manner to justify the financial considerations. I have significant concerns that when the healthcare system presents data regarding the loss of 10 OB-GYNs in our community, they don't present data to the acquisition of 10 family medicine physicians that do obstetrics. They don't present the data of the decreasing number of births as Redwood in the context of the healthcare decision's own closure of their obstetric clinic and of their own hiring of the Eureka-based OB-GYN who transfers all the deliveries to Eureka. So I believe that the data that's being presented is disingenuous and also flawed and skewed. The delivery of services to this part of the county includes services to people coming out Highway 36 and all the way to Petrolia. And I believe that we need to really somehow garner the change in direction of closing this unit. Otherwise, there will be adverse effects on lives.
So I guess my question is there going to be any conversation between Redwood Memorial and in particular the incredibly talented medical team with Ms. Lessenhawk or any of her representatives? I know what you're saying. I heard Dr. Esmond say that that's the decision, but I'm just wondering if there's going to be any conversation or anything scheduled.
Yeah, she has held meetings with us and heard our concerns, but I don't feel that she's making her decisions with our medical practice and account. And she's just listening to our concerns. And so those meetings have happened, but there's no sense that it's a problem-solving discussion or a work group. It's simply a meeting so that she can hear what we have to say, but that's it. The argument about the decreased numbers, it's really obvious to me that there's so many times I hear a patient say, well, I didn't know that I could see you in Fortuna. I thought I had to go to Eureka because that's what they told me. So it's these manufactured numbers where patients are being directed by St. Joe's to go up to Eureka, even though they live in Fortuna. And so of course there's fewer births because they're intentionally directing people away from Redwood. It's manufactured. It's not a natural occurrence.
And
Senator, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but we do have about 5 minutes. We've got another meeting coming up.
I'm sorry.
Yes. So we have a couple more questions. You know, we really appreciate you listening to the concern. And there is going to be a tentative public forum this Thursday from 5 to 6. The news, I just heard it about a half hour ago. So the information will be getting out, and there will be time to ask questions. Dr. Lessenhawk will take questions. They need to be emailed first, and so she can answer all those questions. So right now it's about an hour, 5 to 6 on Thursday. So look for that information. But 2 more questions from just to get the last ones in so we can get you on to your next call. Mike Losi, what do you have?
Okay, thank you. I didn't know if I was going to get in or it's more of a statement. Senator McGuire, we thank you for being here. I'm on the Fortuna City Council, just elected. And my statement or question mostly is, we see increasing state control over the housing issues and much less local control. It's just being eroded and taken away by the state legislature. We feel that we are in the best position to address local housing needs, but it seems to me that there should be some middle ground where you see some of these housing needs more in the populated areas more so than rural. So I'm thinking, is there some middle ground where you can leave that control to the rural areas and take that control from those areas that need that state intervention?
Councilman, thank you so much. Yeah, look, I think there is a middle ground. You know, there was a large bill, Senate Bill 50, that was moving 2 years ago, incredibly controversial, overriding zoning throughout the state for cities and counties. That bill was not advanced, didn't make it out of the Senate. And since then, I think there's been a more measured approach. Just being honest, we need about 1.5 million affordable rentals between 2015 and 2025 as our economy, whether it's rural California or urban areas, have grown more towards the service sector. So be more than willing to be able to have a conversation with you, Councilman. And if you'd like to be able, yourself, Mayor Long, we could do a Zoom on what the housing package looks like this year. So there's going to be providing additional flexibility for cities when it comes to dead and dying strip malls to be able to have enhanced environmental review for housing projects. For example, we're taking a look at guaranteed 270-day judicial review in secret court with an environmental lawsuit, but not so much on, Councilman, where you're talking about the zoning, right? Overriding zoning, for example. There will be, I don't think there's going to be 100% agreement on that these are great bills, because there's going to be a couple more. There's going to be one that would allow a one-time transition of a single family home to a duplex, for example, which I know there's going to be some challenges with. But rather than looking at large scale override of zoning, looking at neighborhood driven development by homeowners. But Councilman, maybe it would be, if you'd be okay with this,
Sure.
I'd love to be able to get together with you, and I never want to volunteer the mayor, but if Ms. Long would be willing, I'd love to be able to go through our housing package. And the other piece is, we are going to be advancing a housing bond, and all those dollars will flow directly to cities and counties. And if you'd be willing to talk about that as well, I'd be happy to get together.
Absolutely. Thank you. And we, again, appreciate you being here. And I think Mayor Long, she's expressed some of these same concerns that I just so, thank you, though.
I'm looking forward to it, Councilman. Thank you so much for the willingness to sit down.
Yeah.
Last question, Sue, do you have something to add? Mayor Sue?
We're all over the place. So I do sit on the Housing Committee, Policy Committee for League of California Cities. I would love to have a discussion with you, Senator McGuire. And also I did have a phone call with Supervisor Michelle Bushnell and Roberta from the hospital this morning. And basically they have said that the decision has been made and they're going to figure out how to tell the community, and that, you know, they're not looking at wanting any information from the community or wanting to have any discussions. Basically, they want to tell the community that this is happening. It's effective July 1st and story's over. So I'm really hoping the story's not over and we can find a way to get around this.
No, thank you so much, Mayor. I'd love to be able to get more of your take on the issue of housing. Look, again, on the issue of housing, what has been proposed this year is way different than what we've seen in the past. What we've seen 2 years ago was overriding local zoning, height, floor area ratio, setback, all linked to linked to downtown core, bus stops, etc. And then really you not having any say on how to be able to stop. This is going to be much more strategic and surgical. But I'd love to get your take. We will, either myself or will be on that forum call on Thursday. Do y'all mind? Can you send us the information?
Yeah, we will.
That'd be great. And my email is in there. Would really like to see it. And you said Thursday at 5, correct?
Yeah, 5 to 6.
5 to 6.
Yeah.
Would love to be able to participate. And if I can't be there, I definitely will. But and Mayor Long, I'm happy to add this to our agenda when we get together with the councilman as well.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I know we're running out of time. You need to go on to another call or whatever. And so we really appreciate you zooming in with us. Another fun Monday.
No, thank you. And so my follow-ups through Mr. Kelly, I'm going to look at AB 1115. We're going to get Denise the information on the Tenant Relief Act and how that's going to work. We will be on that call, or excuse me, on that Zoom on Reverend Memorial on Thursday, one of us. And then we're going to schedule a time with Mayor Long and Councilman Losey on all issues of housing, and we'll also talk Redmond Memorial as well. Is there anything I forgot, Becky or Renee, in regards to follow-ups?
Melissa's AB5, that was the only other thing. Newspaper drivers.
Oh yeah, the AB5 piece. The one thing I'll say is, Melissa, you can take it to the bank 100%. There will be a bill coming forward this year. My only piece that we can't take to the bank, if it's going to be 5 or 1. I'll just be honest, my take, we've never been able to get this 5-year damn extension go through, so I bet it's going to be a 1, but that's just my own editorial and not just based off of what's happened in the last 2 years.
Great.
Okay. Thanks. Lots of great information. Thank you all. We'll see you next Monday for another fun-filled chamber meeting at noon.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.
Bye.
Thanks,
Thank you
everyone.
so much. Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.